KOF 15 is promising to be a major hit and one of the best entries of the long-running franchise. For newcomers to the series, it is an excellent starting point to discover KOF with its rich lore and charismatic characters. But understanding the story might be a little confusing, since this is a direct sequel to 14, the first chapter of the Shun'ei saga and a game that many haven't played, including longtime fans. That's why I'm making this short video as a summary for the major events that occurred in the last game. Of course, if you're invested in the lore and curious about the other sagas, I already made videos dedicated to their stories, so check them out, links in the description. Before getting to the meat of the matter, as always, if you like this content, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe and click the bell icon so you can be notified with every new video posted. The story of KOF 14 picks up right after 13's, when Ash Crimson stops his ancestor Saiki from returning to his time. Not only he caused their deaths both, he also created an anomaly in the space-time continuity. This anomaly manifested itself as the creature known as Verse. The appearance of Verse didn't go unnoticed, and several key people were aware of its existence. Most notably were the leader of the Kusanagi clan Saishu and the old legendary martial arts master Tang Furu. Out of nowhere, a self-proclaimed champion emerged. His name is Antonov, a rich Russian businessman who bought the King of Fighters brand and organized a new edition of the famous fighting tournament. Antonov sent invites to regular KOF participants as well as new figures and taunted them to reach the finals, beat him, and claim possession of the priceless champion belt that he owns, which none ever heard of actually. Although he had no teammates and preferred fighting on his own, Antonov did form a separate official team to fight during the preliminary matches. The said team was composed of Mian, a Sichuan opera dancer, Selvi, a former NES experiment, and a mysterious, foul-mouthed, sand-controlling guy named Kukri, who would appear to have other motivations behind his presence in KOF independently from Antonov's. Back to the Kusanagi household, Saishu gathers Kyo and his two friends from Team Japan, Benimaru and Diamond, and gave them the invites to the tourney. Their primary task was to help Tang's new students, Shun'ei and Meitein-kun, during the competition, and to also know more about the upcoming threat, that is Verse, which Saishu somehow knew about. The aforementioned Shun'ei is a peculiar case. He had control over a mysterious power which he doesn't understand its origin. That power takes the shape of two gigantic phantom hands that materialize during his attacks. One of the hands is red and has fire properties, while the other is blue and gives Shun'ei better air mobility. The bad news are, he doesn't have control over these ghostly hands and is always afraid to hurt people around him. But thanks to Tang's teachings, who raised him since his young age, Shun'ei became more and more accustomed to the power and more comfortable using them during combat, even though he still doesn't have full control over them. Kyo's all-time rival Yori Yagami could suddenly sense the presence of multiple souls, but the one that piqued his interest the most was Orochi's. Vice and Mature, his former dead teammates who are still able to take physical form, reached to him once again and invited him to join them to KOF. Curious about that feeling he had and thinking he would know more if he entered the tournament, he accepted their offer. Unlike his usual course of action, the crime boss Geese Howard decided to enlist personally to the competition with his shady new butler Hein and loyal bodyguard Billy. Geese had also knowledge about Verse thanks to his scrolls of immortality and wanted to see the creature with his own eyes. In a far distant land, Nakururu, the protector of nature, was able to sense the presence of Verse from her world. Realizing that it was a great danger for all living things, she traveled through time and space to eliminate it. Of course, the 14th edition of KOF had many other participants, but they were there mostly for the sport and the thrill of combat. Not everyone has a serious or dark reason to kick some butt. Kyo's team managed to reach the finals and face the tournament's host. After he lost the fight, Antonov showed good sportsmanship and admitted his defeat. Just as he was going to hand them his champion belt, which they never asked for, the sky blackened with an ominous aura and Verse entered the scene. The creature destroyed the stadium, causing many casualties and badly injuring Antonov. Verse was holding many souls within its body. No one at this point knows how or why many key figure souls from different times and places were trapped by this being. Among these souls were the Heavenly Kings of Orochi, Leona's father Gaidel, Rashujin Mizuki from Samurai Showdown, Rugal Bernstein, Chrysalid, Ash Crimson, and the big baddie of all, Orochi in person. His appearance triggered the curiosity of many, including Kukri, who seemed interested of one of the souls that the fearsome foe possesses. Nakoruru was about to attack, but stopped by Tank, who asked her to leave the task to the winners of KOF. Verse fought with power similar to the one of Shunei's Phantom Hands, the red one. The latter felt some kind of connection with the monster, implying that the two drained their powers from the same source. Verse would have certainly hunted down Shunei if Team Japan didn't intervene and attack the creature. After an intense battle, the trio triumphed over their otherworldly enemy and vanquished it. Verse exploded into multiple pieces, releasing all the souls it contained. All seemed to settle down, and the spectators breathed a sigh of relief, except of the dozens of people who were most likely killed during the destruction of the arena. But hey, they were irrelevant to the story and they died off screen, so who cares, right? Happy ending for everyone. Unfortunately, that cannot be said for Antonov. Shortly after the end of the tournament, he faced multiple lawsuits claiming that the whole competition was a setup. Adding the tragedy that occurred with the apparition of Verse, he was forced to resign from his corporation, losing all his wealth along his title as the first KOF champion. Poor guy. Their duty fulfilled, Team Japan was at the airport, ready to head home. Kyo and Benimaru were surprised that Diamond had actually accepted Antonov's belt and was wearing it. It was at that moment when Kyo received a message from Shizuru asking him to meet her in a specific location in Hungary. He knows that things are always serious with her and is most likely related to Orochi, so he went to the designated place without arguing and found Iori already there. The Yagami heir had probably received the same message from Shizuru and separated himself from Vice and Venture, who didn't even try to stop him. The three Sacred Treasures owners found the soul of Orochi in a bad stage, struggling without a host. It was an easy target, and so, without hesitation, they fulfilled their duty and destroyed it right there. It's very unlikely that we'll see Orochi in KOF 15. In a different part of the world, Kukri found the recently resurrected Ash Crimson. Elizabeth Blowtorch joined him there, and we discovered that they were working together. Some sort of deal was made between the two, and Kukri had just finished his part. The Ikari Warriors received a full report about Verse from Ralph and K-Dash's team. They immediately started searching for the potential resurrected people that were trapped within Verse. However, they could not locate Leona's father. Unbeknownst to them, they were spied on by Geese's men. The Southtown boss was also very interested in Verse and its power. He told Billy that the appearance of the creature was mentioned in the scrolls, but most importantly, its form was incomplete. Geese's true intentions remain unclear though, but knowing him and his power-hungry nature, he probably wants to harness the power of Verse for himself. And finally, as is shown in the last cutscene, a fragment of Verse landed in Australia, hinting that the threat of the mysterious being is far from over. And that's pretty much all there is to KOF 14's story. Of course, I didn't mention the sub-stories for the other teams that aren't really relevant to the main plot, but you can say that you're all caught up with the main story of the Shunei saga and ready to jump to 15s. Special thanks to my patrons for their generous support. I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up if you did, and why not consider subscribing to the channel. Thanks for watching.